Welcome to another episode of the Norwalk Film Festival Podcast. I am Sean Fox, one of the volunteer board members for the festival. This is episode 2 in our interview series with filmmakers who have their work in our 2024 festival. The series is a bit of a teaser to get you, the listener, viewer, whatever you are, excited about the films we have programmed this year, and you should be, because there's a lot of really good ones. In case you missed episode number 1, go back to check it out after listening to this one. But today, we're chatting with Taylor Becker, the writer and director of PTO, a short film about a burned-out employee who, after receiving news that his vacation request has been denied, deals with the repercussions of having the audacity ask his manager for some time off. We've all been there, I'm sure. PTO is one of the over 60 films we have this year in our festival, which is January 19th through the 21st in Norwalk, Connecticut. We are hosted at the Wall Street Theater and the Norwalk Public Library for the 20th and 21st. And we also have our opening night party at 314 Beer Garden, South Norwalk on the 19th. Tickets are available now. So once we wrap up with Taylor, head on over to our website, norwalkfilmfestival.org, to get your tickets to see PTO and over 60 other films. It's going to be a great weekend. As I said, a lot of great films, a lot of good people, and it's really just a fun time. Without any further ado, here's my interview with Taylor Becker. All right, we are joined by the writer and director of PTO, Taylor Becker. Taylor, thanks so much for coming on today.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm so honored.
Well, it's great to have you. To be honest, your film was one of the first ones that I screened in the process this year. Yeah. It was, I logged on to the Film Freeway portal and I was like, sure, PTO, that sounds great. So after watching it, I noticed, and then later saw in your director's statement, that there's only 2 lines of actual dialogue in the film. So can you tell us a little bit about, I believe that was part of the assignment for the film. Is that
yes.
right?
Yes, it was very strict parameters for this project, which I did as part of my graduate studies. So I had to stick to it to get.
Yeah. That's very important.
Yes.
Where are you at in your graduate studies?
So I'm doing a part-time program through Harvard, which is so amazing to be at. Like, I can't believe it. Pinch myself every day. But yeah, it's amazing. I took this film class. I actually studied film in my undergraduate past. And yeah, I took this film class and it was super fun. And the project was very strict. I'm very happy with how it turned out. So I'm shocked it got into festivals.
No. I mean, it's great. It's fun to see. I mean, we get so many submissions throughout the year, and to have a nice punchy 4.5 minute short that just gets the point across. It's great. It was it's a lot of fun to watch. Awesome. And with the limited dialogue, you did something interesting, because obviously you're still trying to tell a story.
Yes.
But you did it with the texting and messages.
Yes.
So how did that come about? And how did you?
Sure.
Did you see a problem and then how can I get around not using 2 lines of dialogue, or what was?
Yes. So it's well, how do I tell a story with no talking? Basically, it's a silent film. So I was like, well, it's a silent film. How did they tell stories back then? They used title cards, really to drive the plot. So I was like, well, I guess the modern version of that are text messages, really. So.
I mean, I think many of us can sympathize with the incessant texting from a hated boss.
That's an instant block.
I mean, when I started watching it, and I was just hearing, he's waking up and he's still and I felt it in my heart, just oh God, oh no, what's happening? What's the problem? What do I need to do?
Maybe it comes from a place of truth for a lot of us.
Yes. Don't name any names, obviously, but yeah, I'm sure we. Yeah. So
you know who they are, though.
Yeah. So if in this film, it's just the one main character, Will, yes. I believe is his name.
Yes.
And played by Alex Campo, who was also the credit as the DP for the
Yeah.
film. I've seen a lot of multi-hyphenates and slashes through the years of writer-directors, writer-actors, director-actor, but I've never seen a DP actor. So how did you guys balance that?
So Alex is actually my fiance.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so there's the connection there. He's also a student. He's finishing up his bachelor's degree, which he started many moons ago. And he works in the industry as well. So he's like, well, I'm just gonna finish this degree. So he's the best partner I've ever had. So in an amazing, talented director of photography and editor. So we really shot this in my apartment. And I would stand in a lot, and he would pull focus, make sure the shot is beautiful. We would switch places, and I would hit record and direct him. So it worked out. He takes direction amazingly. So.
That's great. That's great. And how long did it take you guys to shoot it and put it all together?
I want to say probably principal production, like 3 days. And it was very relaxed. We made it for like $100. I think the only thing I bought was there's a folding chair.
Oh yeah.
That was like $70 off of Amazon.
Oh man.
Yeah. Charging for chairs these days. Expensive. But yeah, we shot it in our apartment, so we didn't have to pay to rent anything. Just moved a lot of furniture around, and that's our rooftop. So it was super chill, no like pressure. We took our time.
No pressure other than the hated boss incessantly.
Exactly.
Was there anything when you first like sat down and wrote it, or put the idea together? How did it change from, were there any changes from when your initial idea to then putting it in place and like actually shooting it?
Yeah, there were a lot of script changes. Originally, we had an entirely different story. I actually don't even remember what it was. It definitely evolved. I think originally it was like, I don't even want to say because it was really
no, it's fine.
But
there's a reason there for first drafts.
Exactly. Exactly. It evolved a lot, but how it came to be, I think, really was. I think it's really interesting how people react in like very dire situations. And I've always been fascinated. I don't know if you remember this. Like 5 years ago, there was an alert that went out accidentally in Hawaii.
Yeah.
North Korean missiles. And
right.
people had stories on Reddit on like what they did in the 5 minutes that they thought they were going to die. And I thought that was so interesting. Some people just like went to the 7-Eleven on the block and like got a Kit Kat bar.
Right.
And other people were like running for their lives.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, what would I do in that situation? So I think a lot of it came from that. I just think it's really interesting. And then also at the time, not at the time, but when the conflict in Europe and Ukraine and Russia started and I was watching the news, I was like, oh my God, am I supposed to still be working? Like, it's like the end of the world. It's a major conflict, but capitalism has to keep trudging along, I guess. So I think the story was kind of born out of two of those things.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice to take something heavy like that and you're like, well, let's put a little humor.
Make it funny.
Yeah. So outside of this program, the film program, or the graduate studies, you are an art director.
I am.
For commercials and some music videos I've seen. So what made you want to go back to school to pursue a graduate degree?
Yeah, sure. So I'm an art director in advertising. I love it. It's a really fun job. I'm very lucky to have that job. My family has always really emphasized education, and that's just how my family is. This is actually my second master's degree.
Oh, wow.
I just really love school.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
And I think you should always be learning and pushing yourself to learn more. And I thought Harvard would be a great place to do that.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the pinnacle of pushing yourself to something. Yeah.
Exactly.
So for when you were making this and, in directing sorry, just to backtrack a little bit, what is your degree? What are you going for your master's in?
Sure. So it's called digital media design. So it's actually a little bit wider because Harvard is a liberal arts school. So it's not as focused as, so my undergrad was at an art school. And I majored specifically in film and television. But at Harvard, it's much broader. You take a lot more different things, different classes. The breadth is, I think, wider. So this program is, UX design, photography, video, learning design. I've never taken like an educational design class before. So it's like a lot of different things, anything digital, basically.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. I mean, so was this your first time like writing and directing something in this capacity?
Yes. So when I was in undergrad, I, for some reason, thought I wanted to be a producer, like very, very direly wanted to be a producer. I don't know why, because I'm not made for it. So,
I think everybody wants to be a producer until they figure out what a producer actually has to do.
Being a producer is really hard. So all the projects I made during that time, I was the producer of.
Got it.
And it took a while to come to terms with the fact that I'm not producer material. So yeah.
So now having directed, what kind of, I guess, crossover skills from being an art director? Obviously, there's the same little bit of a title in there, but as a director, you're in charge of a little bit more. So I guess how did you find there's a crossover in skills there, or like anything that kind of, or did maybe feel a little second nature because you've your path,
I think I've had some good practice over the last, I think I've been an art director for like 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
I think just having a very critical visual eye is very helpful. Just having that intuition, the gut instinct at this point of, what looks good, what doesn't, is very helpful. And I spent a long time like storyboarding things at several agencies. So you get really good at storyboarding, which makes shooting super easy when you have your whole story laid out. So.
Yeah. I mean, I think when directing, it's like the planning is the hard. Well, the planning is the most important part, because then to have something when you're on set and actually doing it to go off of instead of making it up as you go. So have you always been a fan of film, or like a or thing?
I mean, I have, but like yes and no.
Okay. You're not like a cinephile, but
right. If you talk to Alex, he's an encyclopedia of film. He actually is on a kick of watching every single Nicolas Cage film ever made. So you might want to talk to him when we're at the festival.
I'm hanging up right now. I'm going to call him. No.
He's seen like literally every movie. He was just actually on a podcast, like a movie-based podcast, where they were just talking about Nick Cage for
that's so funny.
3 hours. But yeah, I mean, I'm actually more of a TV viewer. I really love TV. I like a little bit like a shorter narrative, a little bit tighter than I think a film. So yeah, but I still love movies.
Yeah, for sure. What are some of your favorites? If you, I mean, I know it's always hard to pick, but like
films or TV.
Yes. Which, yeah.
I'm a sucker. I'll start in film. I'm a sucker for Michel Gondry. I love him. Anything written by like Charlie Kaufman.
Sure, yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of where my tastes lie.
All right, yeah, that's great.
And then television, I also really like anything that's very similar to that style. So like I just watched Apple TV's Severance. I'm a little late to the game. Loved it. It's so weird.
Yeah, my wife and I watched it only like a month or two ago also.
Oh, awesome.
Why did we sleep? My wife also, she thought it was only one season. Like she thought it was just like a mini series or whatever. And so like the season ended and she was like, what is happening? And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, how could they just, there's so many open-ended. I was like, yeah, there's going to be season 2. She was like, oh. Like she was just like, what a travesty of television that they're not giving us any answers.
I was like kind of upset. I didn't wait till season 2 was out to watch season 1, but it's such a great piece of television that I think everybody should watch it. It's so weird and so great. So
yeah, the cast is so great. Like it's everything's.
I love it. If I can make something that's like 10% of that, I'd be so.
Yeah. So, do you have? What is your future goal? Like, do you want to direct and write another film? What would you like to do coming up?
I actually just finished another project.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. It's it's even shorter than this one. It's 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So, a nice little short project, which is actually very hard to submit to festivals.
Oh, really?
Prices are so expensive.
Yeah, I got you.
And it's hard to justify for like a 2-minute.
Yeah, I get.
But hopefully I'll submit to Norwalk next year when it's open again.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I already asked. We just finished this past project last weekend.
Oh, congratulations!
Thank you. And I told Alex, he was my DP again, and I was like, okay, what's our next project? What are we doing next? So
you got the bug.
Longer.
You got the bug.
Definitely.
All right. My last question I have, and this is very important. I was reading the credits as they scrolled, and I have to know who is Noodle.
Oh, my cat.
Oh.
He's credited in everything.
That's fantastic. I mean, you have
picture of him. These are drawings of him.
I mean, you have to credit your pets. They're there when
emotional support.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. I mean, when you're sitting there editing and you're like angry that you didn't shoot something or whatever, and you're like, they come by, and they help you out a little bit.
Exactly. I need him.
Well, all right. Well, Taylor, thank you so much for joining us today.
It was awesome.
It was a pleasure watching your film, and looking forward to screening it at our festival this year.
Yay, I'm so excited. Thank you so much.
Thanks to Taylor for joining us to chat about her film, PTO. Join us January 19th through the 21st in Norwalk for this year's festival. We're screening at the Wall Street Theater and the Norwalk Public Library. We have a weekend of great films, panels, Q&As with industry professionals, mixers, and it's just a great, fun group of people that come to the festival. So we look forward to seeing you there. Tickets and scheduling info are available on our website, norwalkfilmfestival.org. And we'll have more interviews with filmmakers coming up soon, so make sure to follow us on all of the social media platforms to stay up to date on new releases and for more info about the festival. We'll see you in Norwalk.